sorry. All right, so just 2 persons have questions for your OPM. 2 questions for you. Member Newell will go first, and then Member Campbell will go second. Go ahead, Member Newell.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll be quick. PS on, I don't need a lot of time. Chairman, page 15,000-7, 848,400,000 for the additional support for the Constituency Development Fund. I'm seeing now PS where on page 4 of the amended document, amended estimates, 747,400 of that amount was transferred from OPM. And I'm seeing on page 5 an amount of 800 million, for the end of year mitigation program. But of that amount, I'm seeing where 102 million came from the Ministry of Finance and 747 came from OPM. So what I'm trying to find out, PS, that $102 million that would have been left at OPM under the object classification additional requirement for the CDF, I'm trying to get an understanding of what that is. Thank you, PS. No. The PS told me at PAAC.
Question again for standing finance if he so chooses.
But just for context, Chair.
Allow the member to ask his question, please.
For context, Chair, for context, the PS indicated that he didn't have the full information. So I'm seeking clarification now. Thanks.
PS, in the interim, Member Newell, you're finished with your questions?
Yes, but just...
All right, so while PS gets the information, in the interest of time, I'm going to ask Member Campbell to also ask his question, and then the PS will answer. No, the PS will tell us if he can or can't answer. No, if suppose he doesn't have the information yet, that's okay. No, it can't happen. Member Campbell, go ahead with your question, Member Campbell. Member Campbell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, in relation to page 19,003, Hurricane Melissa Relief and Recovery, and the procurement of 3,300 containerized folding units for housing affected persons. We had a natural disaster, which is the doing of no one here, and it left thousands of persons homeless. And in terms of what is being done to provide temporary shelter for those persons, the 3,300 units here is a small percentage of the individuals that are affected. So from the allocations, this increased allocation that comes through this supplementary budget, what other measures are in place to provide temporary housing for those persons who are affected?
Yes, please turn the mic back on. Yeah, follow-up question? Turn it on back, turn it on.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We're taking a multifaceted approach to the accommodation solution. So when we do the assessment, the impact range from persons just having roof damage to total loss. So we're taking a progressive approach. So as we move from providing just relief packages to focusing on housing and enabling persons with purchasing power, we are looking at the temporary roofing solutions for those who just have roof damage. We are looking at the modular type solutions that we can bring in and assemble quickly for those with total losses. And we have support from other countries. For example, Ghana is coming in to help, so we're putting those together. Where we have material available from donations and otherwise, the Jamaica Defense Force Engineering Regiment will assist with putting those together. And the government is well advanced in looking at a program, possibly by way of vouchers, to facilitate grants depending on the extent of damage that we have. So it is a multifaceted approach depending on the extent of the impact. The other thing we'll also have to consider, which the long-term restoration will facilitate, is areas that have significant damage and are not conducive to redevelopment in those specific spaces. We have the PIOJ and other elements looking at where best to do redevelopment. So there are going to be other budget space provided in subsequent financial years for the long-term redevelopment of spaces. So what we have here allocated are for immediate needs to get persons who are totally exposed with some shelter, and the development plans will actually span a number of years with proper relocation as a part of the plan in some areas.
I understand the broader vision. I understand the broader vision. I'm trying to narrow it down, though, to the immediate solution. What I'm saying is that we have, in Eastern Westmoreland, we would have more than 3,300 persons. I'm struggling. We have more than 3,300 persons that their homes have been totally destroyed. Then you have Central Westmoreland, right? That would have a next couple thousands that have been totally destroyed. So I'm saying that this amount as an immediate solution is insufficient, and I'm not seeing the allocation to support, say, a voucher system, as you spoke to, because there is need to provide varied solution to other persons. Now, we are roughly 6 weeks post the hurricane, and those persons are still outside. So I hear persons saying things, but imagine that but for the grace of God, it was one of us that was displaced and outside of a home for 6 weeks. I'm just saying there needs to be a greater allocation here. The 3,300 units, that's fine. But the need is way more than that. And I'm not seeing the allocation to provide other mechanisms through which persons can get temporary. Because now when we go into the communities, most of the people say they have enough food. What they want is somewhere to stay. And
Member Campbell, just a moment. The permanent secretary will need to provide his answer to the minister, for the minister to respond. In addition, the minister, Minister Morgan, who is within the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, has asked for an intervention to assist with this particular response. Oh, sorry, member, your mic is on. My apologies.
It's me here.
Go right ahead, Member Warmington.
Madam Chairman, I've been here since 1980, came back 2002, and I'm amazed to see that the permanent secretary is responding to questions in this house. The minister ought to respond to any question asked here, not the permanent secretary. So I'm asking, maybe not asking, may I say, we turn to the protocol in this house, whereby questions are not directed to the permanent secretary, and the permanent secretary does not respond. Technical officers,
directed to the
consultant advisors do not respond in this house. All answers must be.
No, additionally, your mic is on, Member Warmington.
Hold on, then. When I'm speaking, I do not expect anybody to cut off my mic. I came back here.
Warmington.
Let me finish.
Member Warmington, on a point of order.
No.
On
Chairman, you don't call point of order.
From the chair. Member Warmington, you have several mics on, and I don't even need to call on any privilege as chair.
Madam
You
Speaker.
had other persons also making a point of order.
But they can't cut me off in the middle of it.
Have no clue if you're finished, and I didn't know
I
your
was
mic
not.
was off.
I did not complete what I'm
So
saying, Madam
kindly
Chairman.
complete your statement.
Madam Chairman, may I say
And-
to you, you cannot call point of order as Chairman
No,
and
well,
Speaker.
I don't even
Point
want to
of
use
order
privilege.
can come from only the floor, not from you.
You had one. You had one from the floor.
No. The Chairman can't call point of order on me. We can call point of order, not the chair or the Speaker. But I'm saying that I've never seen it in my 30 years here.
Yes, and you have said that before, and you
But
do not
let me
repeat in the
complete,
house.
Madam,
Complete your
Madam Chairman.
complete your intervention, Member
Madam
Warmington.
Chairman.
Member Warmington.
Madam Chairman.
Complete your
here.
intervention without repetition.
I have the greatest respect for you, but do not. I have the largest number of votes in this house, 10,000 plus. So do not do it. And don't cut me off either. Let me speak. I'm saying when a member raises an issue, it's only minister can respond in his house, not permanent secretary, technical officers. I'm trying to the attention of this house. I came in Haiti, never before. But I don't finish yet. Can't cut me off. I'm saying only the minister can respond. The permanent secretary, technical officer must advise her what to say. Don't cut off my mic, you know. Don't do it again.
Are you finished, Member Warmington? You're finished? You have a... Okay. Thank you.
Chairman.
Member Morgan, please go ahead.
Madam Chairman, appropriate questions by the member from Eastern Westmoreland, but they are not properly posed to the Permanent Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister. The procurement of the houses, or the temporary housing solutions, are through the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. It is a part of a suite of solutions that is...
That's not in OPM.
What? If you look at the, hold on. If you look at the assignment of subjects, the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation stands alone as its own ministry. The Office of the Prime Minister is separate. The housing portfolio resides in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. The procurement of the container houses, both from the NHT side and from the Ministry of Housing side, resides in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. That is not the only solution that is being engaged. The Office of Disaster Preparedness is also leading an effort to repair roofs. There are various other entities, international and local, who are also contributing to the repairing of roofs and the assistance with housing. And the government continues. It seems the member is no longer interested in the question.
No, man, I'm listening.
Right. So it's not just container houses. There are efforts through the JDF, there are efforts through ADPEM. We have international donations that are coming in. And we also, the government is going into the recovery phase. And in the recovery phase, you're going to see an escalation of the interventions as it relates to shelter for persons as well.
Madam Chair, that is the information I'm trying to ascertain here. I am saying that, and I don't want to be parochial, right? So I'm saying in those affected areas, including members from both sides, there are several thousand persons that are currently homeless. And I'm saying I am aware of some of the efforts. So I'm aware that the Guyanese doing 200 roofs in eastern Westmoreland. So I'm saying though that what I'm seeing as the allocation to deal with these issues, that I would essentially be asking the Ministry of Finance for an increased allocation to deal with temporary housing. It could be through that voucher system that you're speaking to, that some of those persons could receive a sum so they could go and purchase some things to put a roof above their heads. But we are now 6 weeks after the hurricane, and persons have gotten to a point now where the misery index is rising as they continue to be outside and exposed to the elements.
There is an intervention from Minister Mackenzie.
Chairman, I just on the, not to be contentious, but just on the point made by Member Warmington. Since what is the protocol in regards to the comments made by the Permanent Secretary? Will that remain on the records of the Avansad, or it's something that should be erased? Should it be removed?
It would be removed. It would be removed. So it is, yes, it may be on YouTube. Yes, it would not be recorded on Hansard. He has raised an objection. Member Warmington raised an objection. We do note the issue. So Permanent Secretary would be required to speak with the Minister of Finance, in addition to which the Permanent Secretary would not be able to respond in any way in the House, and the question posed would have been for another ministry, which takes us back to the discussion we had. The Minister of Finance would have to be the one to answer any question in respect of any ministry, whether they are here or not, unless the minister is able to make an intervention, because the minister for that particular portfolio is present and give the Minister of Finance and assist in that regard. So the point is taken. Minister Morgan would like to make another intervention.
Thank you very much. I think that there is a problem, misunderstanding of how the country is approaching the disaster recovery. Minister Williams would assist by outlining that the first phase of the recovery is emergency relief, trying to get people medical attention, trying to get people food. The second phase of the recovery deals with how are you going to give people whether temporary or intermediate shelter. Before you do that, you also have to do surveys of who these people are. So I know that the Ministry of Local Government and the Ministry of Labour and Social Security have mobilized hundreds of people to go into the communities. One of the issues that you have to contend with here at the Ministry of Economic Growth and Infrastructure Development is issue of land tenure. Who are you building the houses for? Are you building it for the persons who occupied the land before the hurricane, or are you building it for the landlord? And will these landlords allow the people to remain on the spot after you give them a new house or a new container? So those are some of the issues that require surveys. What I do know is that as part of the recovery, there'll be a significant ramping up of the provision of housing, whether it be through persons who contribute to the National Housing Trust. The Prime Minister has announced significant benefits for persons who contribute to the National Housing Trust, who can get grants and loans to repair their houses. Some people can get container houses temporary through the National Housing Trust, whether it be through charity, whether it be through donations, whether it be through additional interventions from the Ministry of Finance and Public Service. This supplementary estimate is basically a reflection primarily of the relief effort. It is not a reflection of the full recovery that needs to take place over the medium term to long term in the areas of disaster.
No, Madam Chair, I was never suggesting that. I am actually suggesting that I need to see a greater allocation for the immediate relief. There is no member in here whose constituency was affected who doesn't appreciate and support that point. I am saying if you're going to do voucher, I would like to see that $1 billion has been allocated for a voucher system so that you can get that into the persons who are affected.
But remember, Prime Minister would have responded to that in his presentation prior in Parliament to say that we are only able to execute to a particular extent, and those budget numbers would be based on what we can get done in the immediate time. So Minister of Finance could elaborate, but that was the last explanation we got, that it doesn't make sense to budget what we can't spend in the time. Minister of Finance, could you assist Member Campbell with that question?
Right. So, Madam Chair, as you heard Minister Morgan say, that there are many different methods of getting assistance to persons in terms of their shelter, whether it be the containerized units or an allocation, a grant allocation, depending on the severity of damage of your house, and that significant effort is underway to do the assessment to make sure of what the damage is, and to then determine how much of a grant those persons should get. Remember that we barely have 3 months left to the end of this fiscal year. So the allocations that you see in the supplementary budgets are allocations that we believe that can be spent between now and then in order to begin the restoration of homes.
If I may. Colleagues, I must say that we appreciate the concern of Member Campbell, because indeed quite a number of Jamaicans were displaced as a result of the Melissa's impact, especially on the 6 parishes on the western end of the island. I think Member Campbell, to kind of address everything in context, is to first appreciate that quite a number of Jamaicans were displaced, first and foremost. And there are a number of different efforts, ongoing efforts, to assist those persons in terms of helping them with regaining some form of shelter, whether it's a roof or a complete house or material to assist with the rebuilding process. So it is an ongoing process. There are a number of entities, like, for example, NHT, coming in with assisting with the purchase of the containerized modular units to assist. That's our first phase approach. We have a number of international partners coming in to assist with the repair of roofs and all of that stuff. And also, bearing in mind that it is an ongoing process, I would say even the voucher to assist with whether building material or food supply, it is something that we constantly evaluate, and we try to find additional funding. So the funding is not sufficient to satisfy 100%, but is a process that is ongoing. And I would want colleagues to bear in mind that we are very much cognizant of every day I go down in Western Jamaica, I see the impact. And it is a real situation. So I think the minister and the government on a whole, we are trying, again, to use funds available to us.
You know, persons have been talking about $6.7 billion. That is not money that has been released to us as yet. We are using monies from our own source. And of course, in the effort to rebuild the lives of these persons, we cannot bankrupt the country. Otherwise, we will not be able to get additional funding to continue the process of assisting rebuilding. So it's a very valid question, and it is a process that is ongoing and constantly being reevaluated on a weekly basis.
Thank you, Minister. That's my issue, Madam Chair. I am actually suggesting that maybe we should consider, if possible, an allocation to deal with another mechanism to get some help to these persons. So I'm not unmindful of the fact that several persons were affected. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty much saying that. And I understand the logistics with getting the containers here for the containerized homes. I understand all of that, and I'm not criticizing that. I'm simply saying, though, that when these things happen, some persons may deploy tents. Maybe you're not a fan of tents, right? But there has to be some mechanism that is deployed to provide temporary housing for these persons. If you drive to the constituency and move around, you will see persons under tarpaulin, under a few sheets of zinc. It is heart-wrenching living in cars, right? 6 people living in one room and those sort of things. And as you move around in these remote areas, right, up in Amity, up in Darliston, in Cottage, or in the hills, in Beeston Spring, or Leffall, wherever it is, I'm just asking. I'm not seeing it here. So I understand the points being made. I'm asking for the allocation that will provide the relief, the temporary shelter. That's what I'm asking about.
Thanks,
Okay,
Member.
so-
Member,
so let me just
your point taken. Do you have any follow-up questions, Member Campbell, or you're finished?
It's not around housing, but I do have a next question.
All right.
just to follow
Turning
up.
off. Member Bartlett,
Madam Chair.
Minister Willis.
Madam Chair, I was just trying to make the point that we do understand the call that the member from Westmoreland Eastern is making with regards to an increase in the allocation. And it's a legitimate call. I think that what has to be borne in mind is the simple fact that this is a supplementary estimate which is allowing for expenditure up to the 31st of March. The amount that is there will be utilized, and indeed, more will be required. And then in the new budget year, the other amounts will be. But the point is made, and I think all of us are seized with that, especially, yes, those of us in the 16, absolutely.
Minister of Finance.